this cult rock opera, which became a story about how the survivor of abuse became the worldwide cult leader who eventually had to be brought down by his fans. That's the story of Tommy, and that's the movie that we'll be looking at on this episode of Psycho-Cinema Therapy Theater. I first saw Tommy back when it was released, back in the 70s. And of course I was all 12 or 13 years old to see it. And at the time that I was going to see it, since we had just moved there was a lot of fundamentalist Christian influence in Jacksonville, Florida, where I saw Tommy. So when I came out of it and talked about it with people, some people were very upset about the religious turn that it had taken. And let me explain you a little bit about the movie if you haven't already seen it. And if you're the kind of person that gets totally worried about spoiler reviews, then please go ahead and close this down, go watch it somewhere, and then come back. Oh, and if you like what you're seeing, then be sure to hit like and click the subscribe button so you can be notified of more fun and games when they get posted. So the story starts out somewhere toward the end of World War II, when Captain Walker, Tommy's dad, is off flying World War II missions. Captain Walker, who eventually goes down fighting for his country, leaving Mrs. Walker to do very little except hang out at holiday camps where she meets sleazy people like Oliver Reed's Frank. So eventually they do get married, and then right around some of their earlier days together, Captain Walker comes home and reveals he has not been dead, but Frank takes matters into his own hands and kills Captain Walker, to which Tommy, who is woken up to observe all this, is suddenly told, screaming by his parents, "You didn't hear it, you didn't see it, won't say nothing to no one ever in your life." And so he kept things quiet, pretty quiet, to the tune where he didn't speak for 10 or 20 so years, up until his days of young adulthood. So he was taken by his Uncle Frank to see Hooker, played by Tina Turner, the Acid Queen, thinking that jolt might bring him back into a kind of consciousness. That didn't work out. They decide that they're going to go out for some quality time and leave Tommy alone with his cousin, an evil, manipulative cousin who forces him to go through all sorts of abusive actions. And then when Frank comes home, the parents don't see anything at all wrong with Tommy or anything. In fact, Nora gives the cousin a nice little paddle, like kind of her way of saying, "Thank you for looking after my boy. Here, have another." They have no choice but to leave Tommy by the mirror, which draws him more to himself and gives our director, Ken Russell, great latitude to do that surrealism that he's so famous for in his movies. And so Tommy keeps walking into this place where they store all sorts of used machinery, destroyed cars, and he sees the pinball machine, and Frank and Nora see him working that machine so well, this guy could be great, so they wind up buying the pinball machine. Next thing you know, just less than 5 minutes later, he's the pinball champion of the world. But he still can't speak, can't talk, can't do anything. And then they take him to Jack Nicholson, the doctor, and Jack Nicholson can't make anything out of it, and is just glad to be getting the check and getting paid. Nora decides she's had enough, and she gets mad at Tommy to the point where she throws him through the window, through the mirror, and he falls into a pool, and then snap, he comes into himself. He starts screaming and singing, "I'm free." He starts running across the beach like you'd imagine a hip Jesus doing at the Sea of Galilee, saying, "I'm free and I want you all to follow me." And follow him he does. And of course, Nora and Frank take care of all the backstage stuff. They're the ones responsible for bringing his followers in. Keith Moon, who played an abusive uncle, who also abused Tommy pretty well in the movie, is also kind of the head barker at this new cult that Tommy's now the head at. But as can be expected in any cult, and we're kind of seeing this now with a variety of people and groups that are, some are considered cults and some of them are not quite cults, but people sure are acting like their leader, no matter how crazy he is the one. In this case, it's kind of an optimistic end because the followers fight back. They saying, "We aren't going to take it." And so they start attacking Tommy and they bring him down. They kill Frank, they kill Nora, and Tommy just escapes with his life, swims away, climbs up a mountain where, incidentally, if we remembered from the beginning of the movie, that's where Captain Walker and the soon-to-be Mrs. Walker had their liaison that resulted in Tommy's birth in the first place. So Tommy is returning to his origins. So he's saying, through you, I get the glory. Through you, I see the millions. So Tommy's finally coming into himself. When I first saw this movie, I was a little upset being kind of a new person into fundamentalist Christianity, because this movie seemed like it ridiculed Christianity. And plus, I was in that brand of Christianity, that fundamentalist Baptist independent, that totally gave up movies, that didn't go to any movie theaters. So I tried to put Tommy out of my mind, but even through all that time when I gave up movies, I certainly did not forget some of those images in the movie Tommy, mainly when he was flying on a hang glider, singing that he's a new sensation. Later, as I came out of fundamentalist Christianity and video was coming in, I eventually got to watch Tommy for the first time. I believe it was in Hawthorne, California, and I believe I may have rented the video at Quentin Tarantino's Video Archives at the same time, or one of those video stores around Rosecrans Avenue where I lived, which had a number of video stores that also seemed to follow in the steps of Video Archives. But I watched it and I just OD'd on Tommy. And it's a movie that means so much to different people. If you are a person who is an activist against abuse, you'll find something to identify with in Tommy. You feel that rock stars have gotten too full of themselves, thinking themselves gods and all that, after only being aware for just a few months of being sober. You'll probably enjoy this movie too. So there are different versions of it. For instance, the play is out in various places over the last decade or so. And Pete Townsend had said that he kind of altered the end to make it look like Tommy goes home, because when things get bad, where else can you go? You can go home. Well, that's not true for a lot of people. And so that's why I kind of prefer the Ken Russell movie better, because for those who don't have a regular home to go down to, or for those who may have turned rebellious because of circumstances not their own, the only thing that they can do is return to themselves to find what truly motivates them. And then maybe they will find the glory, like Tommy Walker did in Ken Russell's movie. Thank you for watching Psycho Cinema Therapy Theater. And if you liked what you saw and want to see more of it, then please click the like button, click the subscribe button, and you will be notified whenever any new movie, review, documentary, or whatever else I have in store for you is ready to appear. Thank you for watching.